Good morning. This is a documentation of my trip to South Dakota. The morning started off very drizzly and foggy in Colorado. This is near my home, and it pretty much stayed that way the whole way to Rapid City, South Dakota. This is in Cheyenne, Wyoming. This is the state capitol building. Along the way, saw lots of different things, but at this point, I wanted to pull over and find a spot to purchase some Wyoming Cowboys, University of Wyoming Cowboys gear. And when I pulled off, I saw the state capitol and I said, well, let's go take a look at that. Um, it was Friday, shortly after lunchtime, like 1:30. I took off a little late because I wanted to let the fog lift, and there was actually a dense fog advisory for Cheyenne through noon. So I wanted to make sure that that was lifted before I moved on. So here I am in front of the state capitol. Um, Very quiet afternoon there in Cheyenne, Wyoming. I'm assuming the state legislature is not in session, or at least not on a Friday afternoon. This was probably 1:30, 1:45. I took off a little late because I wanted to let this dense fog advisory expire. And then I went looking for some University of Wyoming Cowboys souvenirs and apparel. And one of the streets I turned down was this one, Yellowstone Street. Along the way, there were some really cool named things along the way. Old Lady Creek I passed over, and Rawhide Creek I thought was really a perfect Western type name. And moving on, here I am driving through Wyoming. This part of Wyoming, eastern Wyoming, very high plains area, rolling hills, um, mostly flat, um, but very nice. It's unfortunate that today's weather was very misty and overcast, so that the pictures aren't great. But it was probably a good thing that it was overcast because I didn't have to squint. I tend to get headaches from squinting and looking into the sun when I take long road trips, so that was probably for the best. So, some cool vistas I saw along the drive. And then you could see some of this misty, drizzly weather along the way. I highly recommend, if you're going to do a road trip through this area, that you download any audiobooks, podcasts, or anything, because there's not a lot of cell service. Um, my um, navigation seemed to work great. That wasn't an issue. But I also did review my whole route, especially as this is a place I've never been before, what highways to take, which towns I'd be going through, to make sure that, I hit every place. This is a rest stop in Wyoming. Very small, just a couple of bathrooms and water fountains. Because the weather was so blustery, I didn't really get to stretch my legs and do much walking around, unfortunately, because you could see this is very small. And then the outside, the weather was, kind of hitting your face. Um, So, wildlife, I really just saw mostly farm animals, horses, and cows. I saw some deer eating some sagebrush by the side of the road, and I saw some grouse. So, this is a placard talking about how grouse live in this area. I also saw some ducks and some Canadian geese. So, this is Lusk, Wyoming. I drove through Torrington and Lusk, and this is at the stoplight here. I thought it was cool. It was called Rawhide Drug. This is next to a rest stop I stopped at. And here's a video of me entering the Black Hills area of South Dakota. Um, Again, you see the misty weather hitting the windshield here. And in a few minutes, you'll see a couple of fellow Colorado drivers who are a little impatient to get through here. Most of the drive through Wyoming, there would be places where there were passing lanes, and they were very well labeled, like next passing lane in 2 miles, next passing lane in 1 mile. Passing lane begins in 750 feet. So if you got stuck behind a trailer truck, a big rig, whatever you call it, a camper, something that was going a little slower. As you could see here, yeah. These two people just decided through this area that was not terribly windy, but I certainly wasn't going to be passing anybody. Most of the roads I took through this area, here was a little slower. I think this was like 55 or 65 miles an hour. Most of Wyoming was 70. But not curvy like this, so you could pass people. But here, I don't know why they decided they were a little impatient. And then there's going to be a white Honda coming up. You'll see it pass me. He, she, whoever, a little further on, almost hit head on when they tried to pass either this big rig truck or another truck later on. So that was the road trip.